That voice in your head, the one that's keeping you safe, it's not your truth. It's your pain body trying to feed off a moment that's already over. Hey, I'm Dawn, Contrarian Soul Guide and spiritual mentor to women who are done looping and ready to rise. If you've been circling the same emotional patterns, sabotage, fear, shutdown, and wondering, why do I keep ending up here again? Today, we're naming it for what it is, the pain body. Not your identity, not your truth, just trapped energy playing out an old story. So let's burn it down lovingly and get you back to yourself. We're told to reframe our thoughts, to raise our vibration, to choose better. But none of that works if your system is still carrying the trapped energy of the past. Eckhart Tolle calls this the pain body. And it's what I see in my clients and community all the time. The emotional echoes of every moment you weren't allowed to feel includes the grief, the rage, the fear that never got to move, the clinging to a story that was never yours to begin with. And what happens when it activates? You loop, you sabotage, you shrink, not because you're weak, but because your system doesn't know that it's safe yet. So, what is the pain body really? Well, I think it's important to kind of understand the layers of ourself to get into this. So, there is downward causation, and downward causation, we'll keep it quick and easy. You imagine it like an upside down triangle. And at the very top of that, we have what we call bliss consciousness, oneness, unity, um, this God, whatever is going to be your word for that. And then the creation wants to experience itself. And so it expands or pixelates, and we have individuality. And so in that expansion, in that individuality, the next layer of consciousness we would call supramental consciousness. It would include archetypes, so aspects of personality. It would include the monads, so the aspects of emotions. It would include individuality or our higher self, our most expanded self. And so then it comes down, energy gets a little slower, a little heavier, and we get mental consciousness. And now we're starting to be able to feel this and experience this in our daily life. Mental consciousness would include our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas. It includes our ego, intellect, personality. Those are all within mental consciousness. And you can think of it as electrical in its context. Those electrical charges that happen. That's mental consciousness. And then energy gets a little slower, a little denser, and we have vital consciousness. And vital consciousness includes our emotions. It includes our chakras and our meridians. And you can think of it as a little more on the magnetic side. So everything has everything, but we're getting a little bit more to the magnetic, the drawing of experiences, of like attracts like. This is where we're coming into in vital consciousness. And vital consciousness and mental consciousness combined creates what we call subtle consciousness. And so subtle, we can sense it, we can feel it. It's a little subtler than obviously physical touch, but you can get a sense of things. So it's a little subtler, but you can actually even feel it in your body when we go back into it somatically. And you can feel these energies around you. You can feel the barbs of somebody's negative thoughts. You can feel the negative energy in a room if people have been fighting, or the really positive energy in the room when you find a room that's full of joy and laughter and love, and it just has a really good feeling in it. You feel this even from people when somebody's heart is open and you feel like you can really connect with them versus when somebody's heart's closed and it feels like they're cold and distant. And so these energies are places that, or an experience that we are capable of experiencing all the time. It's just whether or not we tap into them. And then finally, when you go below this, energy finally gets dense and collapses and creates physical form, which would include our body and the environment. And our breath gets held not only in the physical environment, but also links us into that vital. So the breath becomes kind of a bridge between the two. And so the reason why I say this is because the pain body, go back up to that subtle body. Actually, I'm going to back up one more time. So if you think of it this way, bliss is like plasma oneness. It's like the sky, clear and blue. And then we have the archetypes and the monads, and we start to get some clouds in there. And so everything is filtering through before it drops. Mental consciousness would be like water, vital consciousness would be like snow, and physical consciousness would be like ice. And so if you want to change something in the quality of the ice, you wouldn't do it at the level of ice. You would go up to water. And so the same happens when we are healing or wanting to cultivate great change in our lives. We don't want to just do it at the physical level. We want to change the way we think so that we change the way we feel, so we have a different physical experience. That's how downward causation works. And that's why even if you find people that are super healthy on a physical level, they eat organic, they eat all the right foods, they do all the right exercises, all this, but they haven't taken control over their looping thoughts, the anxiety, the fear that they're living in all the time, they're still going to have chronic illness come in. And that's because we haven't made the change at a mental and emotional level. So we need to change up in this subtle level to be able to cultivate a lasting change in the physical level. Now, the pain body, where does that link in? Well, the pain body is like the shadow aspect of the subtle body. The subtle body in itself is designed and created in its natural state, not normal, but natural. In its natural state is really pure crystalline light. It's just full of light. It's great ideas. It's experiencing everything. It's a newness. It's a wow. It's gratitude. It's got this real lightness to it. But when we hold emotional pain, which we weren't designed to do, so as we start to hold these emotional pains and these experiences in our life, so every drama and trauma that we didn't let pass, we either resisted it, I don't like this scares me, dislike, where you're going to put that and suppress or push it away, we're creating it into the pain body. And so we're not letting the experience pass through us. And so then we hold it. And so they become like little shadows in this, what's designed to be clear. And then the same goes for not only our own dramas and traumas, but think ancestral, think epigenetic. So what we bring in and take on from not only our family, so both mother and father lineages, but as well as what is the pain body of society? What's the pain body of our country? What's the pain body of our gender? What's the pain body of our race? What is the pain body of women really get to experience, and men in different, but women really get to experience the women's pain body, or the female pain body, that suppression of the female for the last couple thousand years. All of these things create layers of a pain body. And so that's kind of what it is. It's like this stored emotional energy. It is not a mindset. And that's important because it's the dramas and traumas that get bumped and then we react. So it's not enough to just think, oh, I'm going to be happy today, because we're not feeling it. And so that's when everyone goes, I know it up here, but I need to bring it down here. I need to embody it. And so the problem is often there's a dichotomy. There's two opposing energies that are happening. We want to create abundance in our world, but we're feeling a sense of lack, a sense of fear that we're not supported. And so we need to deal with this pain body. And once the pain body goes, then we're just in a sense of creation, of co-creation with the universe. And so that's what the pain body is at its foundation, at its core. It often gets confused with gut instinct or intuition. And understand that when we are in this, intuition is up at supramental consciousness, and we can pull it down, and it does come down through mental consciousness as well. And then it comes down and we get the feeling. So we get a gut instinct. So, but that instinct is being filtered down. So downward causation, something's coming through and it filters in and we're like, ooh, I don't know, something feels off here. And so you can't really explain it yet because it's filtering through and it's this intuitive sense. And we're picking up and we're just reading kind of things that are outside that subtle energy that's outside of physical explanation. And so it is, the pain body can get confused with this because when we contract and we're like, oh, I don't think so. And then that's really our amygdala. So we're getting this interference starting to happen. So it's not our intuition. It is not the gut instinct. It is the pain body is like this. Usually it's more fear-based and it is more heavy. It's often ancient. Like I said, it is epigenetic and ancestral. It is linked to the land. It's linked to a lot of different things that we pick up by choice prior to manifesting to be able to work it through. Because when we're not embodied, so when I'm non-corporeal, my soul, my spirit, right now it's corporeal. It has a corpse, it has a suit that it's wearing. And so, or that it's playing with is kind of how I think of it. And so if I'm non-corporeal, then there's nothing that I'm incapable of doing. Of course, I can come down and help clear the divine feminine pain body. Of course, I can come down and help clear this lineage. This is a perfect experience for me. I love it. Once we're here and we forget, all of a sudden I think I'm my body and I've got all these things going on in my world. It's hard for us to remember again. And so it's ancient. The pain body is extremely reactive. So every time something happens and boom, we react quick, danger. Even if it feels like it's a positive, because we should always be able to take a sacred pause, to take that breath and settle in and witness the experience. So it's almost like we pull back. As my husband says, zoom out. So we zoom out and we kind of look at the whole picture and kind of get a greater sense. And then we can come back in. And we need to take that moment and not just react. So the pain body is extremely reactive, whereas our expanded self, our soul, is more responsive, more responsible. So it's more responsive as opposed to reactive, acting by what something else is being done. And you can think of when we're reacting, it is that we're being manipulated, which we are, because we're being manipulated by the energies, the things that are unfolding and coming into us. Then they bump into our wounds, into our pain body, and then we react to them, not actually having control because we're not making conscious thought. We're in a habitual pattern. And so the pain body really keeps us looped into the habitual patterns that we're talking about today. And it's that those patterns that are repetitive. And so note what comes in there and how the pain body reacts. Once we know, like, oh, this is the pain body, and we're starting to get to know it, the moment we do that, we've created some separation between it. We've created some space around it so that we're not pulled into it as quickly and as often. So it allows us to create this just a little bit of space around it so that we can witness it. And one thing to really note is that the pain body gets activated when our presence is pulled into the past or pulled into the future. And so because our soul, our spirit, is an entity only of present time, only in the now, in the eternal now. And so every time we get pulled into a past story or we get sucked into what ifs of the future, that is a great example of where all of a sudden there's this activation of the pain body that gets pulled in. And so all of a sudden we're off center. We feel a little more anxious, a little more out of alignment because we're not present with ourselves. And one thing that is super important to understand about that is that the pain body seeks to feed. So it feeds off of drama, off of anger, off of shame. So it feeds off of these emotions that we would consider denser, heavier, more contracted emotions. And that's exactly what it feeds off of. So with that, let's chat about ego, safety, and this shadow aspect of the subtle body. First, I want to point out that our ego isn't evil. It's confused. I always think of the ego as a small child. And when we first are growing with it and it's kind of getting to know this world, it's about a 3-year-old toddler. It thinks everything is its. So it's mine, 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 mine. And that includes our emotions, our stuff, our things, our people, our relationships. Everything is mine. And it's that mind that builds up the ego or our identity or our psyche. So that's what the ego is really like. And it's part of playing within this world of duality. And so the ego is the attachment to form. As it continues to grow, it starts to kind of peak out at about 15 years old. So at that time when somebody thinks they know everything and they don't have the experience, but they know, that is your ego. So as it moves, it starts at about 3-year-old and then it maxes out on its maturity levels at about 15 years old. So lots of arrogance, lots of I knows, and a lot of mixed information. It is the one, I call it the neurotic inner roommate. It's the one that gives you really bad money advice. And then when it's giving you bad money advice and something goes sideways, it's like, wow, why'd you do that? Constantly gaslights you. So I always think of it as this neurotic inner roommate that we have that chatters all of the time. But it's not evil, it's confused. And that's an important note because we're not trying to create a war, but we are trying to take control back and be conscious again. And this is what keeps us in these habitual patterns and loops. The ego loops with the pain body. The ego loops with the pain body to stay in control. So they feed off of each other. And that's important to know. So they're feeding off of each other. The ego's like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. Think about the chatter in your mind. It's constantly narrating everything. So it's chattering away, chattering away. And in that chatter, it's bringing up fear and anger and irritation and judgment and expectations. And all of these things create more of the pain body. We resist more, we cling to more. And so they feed off of one another. They're very parasitic. Remember, the subtle body equals energy intelligence. It's wise, it's brilliant. It is the wisdom in every cell of your body and why you were able to grow and no one had to think about it. When you were in utero, your mom never had to think, I'm going to grow an arm. It just happened because all that wisdom is within you. And that's the subtle body. The subtle body holds all of this beautiful wisdom that is available to us. The pain body is the shadow aspect where we resist or we cover up all that wisdom with fears and worries and concerns and illusions out there in this world that aren't even true. So that when energy gets stuck, the loop plays out both mentally and emotionally. And so we've got this constant spiraling that happens within us. True healing is letting the energy move again. So remember, if you think of it like we're designed energetically to be like a river. So the energy is constantly flowing. It's constantly in this flow, which is when we get the most cleanest oxygen around is usually near a river where energy is moving. And the pain body is in its shadow is more like a murky pond that's got lots of sludge in it. And so the way that we heal this, true healing, is when we let the energy move again. So if we were to introduce that pond, that stagnant energy, and then dig out trenches on both sides and new energy were to come in and the old would be able to wash out. You think about like when you're washing out a cup, it just starts to flow and it gets clearer and clearer and clearer. And the same is available for us. And that's what healing looks like. True healing is letting all of that energy move again instead of it being stuck in this stagnant pond. So how do we do that? How do we stop the looping pattern? Well, first, we want to witness it. We want to become aware of it. And then we want to do that shift, that zoom out so that we can witness the emotion, witness the experience without identifying with it. You are not your emotions, energy in motion. You are the one experiencing the emotion. You're the one that's experiencing what's unfolding in front of you. And so when something new is coming in, we want to be able to just simply witness it without identifying. I am not anxious. I am experiencing anxiousness. I don't have anxiety. I'm experiencing the feelings of anxiety within me. So if we think of them more as an experience, comes and goes, this too shall pass, as opposed to clinging onto it or identifying with it. I don't have something and I am not these things. I am the witness, the one that is experiencing them. So that's the very first place that we want to begin, is we want to try and pull out more and more so that we can witness the experience without getting sucked into the drama, the energy of it, and identifying with it, because you are not those things, the one that's experiencing them. And presence breaks the loop. So as I said to you before, our soul, our spirit, is an entity only of present time. And so it is our presence, being right here in this moment without relating it to a past experience, to fears that we were worried about our future. So we just want to be completely present, and presence breaks the loop. Ego lives in time, past and future, and truth, our soul, lives in the now. And we choose gentleness because this part of us, it needs safety. So we want to be able to wash it out. We want to be able to clear this through. We need to be gentle with it so that we don't create more neurotic behavior. So we want to be gentle and give it some safety as opposed to a strategy where we're like, today I'm going to remove this. Today I'm going to handle this. But instead, what we do is we just start getting really present. We start softening into it and we start being gentle, like, oh, here's this experience coming up. And then we just witness, like, oh, I'm experiencing these feelings of anger. I'm feeling these emotions of disappointment. And it can be hard. Yesterday, I had like some crazy news dropped to me that I was completely unprepared for. I had all sorts of emotions come through. I had all sorts of thoughts loop through them. It was chaos. And as I was there's times I was getting sucked right in, and then there's times I was pulling back out. Is it a lot of work? Yeah, I was exhausted last night. By the time I finished the day, I was like, that was a lot. By the time I got up this morning, it was still a lot. I was still processing all those emotions, all that energy while I was sleeping, because that's what sleep is. Sleep is when we get an opportunity to process mental, emotional, and physical energy. And so we're getting an opportunity to let them go, to let them process through us. And so we are even doing this in our sleep. So then this morning when I got up and I did my morning pages, I could write about it, kind of ask for guidance, ask for help with it, and then start to process, so that by the time that I was in yin class and meditating, it was already starting to release and move. There was a softening that was beginning to happen as I was not contracting. Oh my God, what is this going to mean? And started to be able to soften more and more and more, so that I could take a deeper and deeper breath and I could allow these things to move through me, as opposed to the pain body and the ego being like, oh, this is happening to me. And it's like, no, it's not. It's all just happening. It's unfolding in front of us. Life is happening through us. And so our job is to witness it, to experience it. That's it. And so being gentle is an extraordinarily important part. I could have easily started beating on myself, like, oh, you're supposed to be a spiritual teacher, and here you are upset and angry about something that's going to happen. And it's like, yeah, took me a bit of time, but not bad. 24 hours, didn't say anything, was able to process the energy, or begin the process of processing the energy and getting back into the seat of awareness of trusting. I don't know that this is actually a bad thing. This too shall pass. And we never know. Often the things that we think are the best things in our life turn out to be horrific and horrible. And the things that we think are horrible in our life turn out to be some of the greatest things that ever happened. We don't know. Our ego thinks it knows, but we don't know. And the soul just stays completely present. And so we just stay gentle with ourselves, as opposed to judging ourselves that we should be better. And should's always the warning word. When we hear it, hear ourselves say it, that's when we want to pause, for sure. And one of the things we can do with this is ask, is this from now or is this from then? And so when we have pain coming up, unless it's something present like what happened to me yesterday, we can ask, like, is what's coming up, even yesterday, is this from now, or are the feelings I'm having, are they coming up from before? And then we can invite our breath and our body to come back together so that they can be our allies, because they're not our enemies. They're these beautiful tools. Our body, our breath, and our mind are instruments that we get to create with. It's just that when we're in this habitual consciousness, in these patterns, we're not intentionally creating. We've abdicated control to the ego. And so all of this stuff is going on, but we haven't actually made a conscious choice to participate in it yet. Once we start making conscious choice, we get to slowly and surely, sometimes even quickly, pull back out and stay grounded and centered. And so understanding that our body is not against us. It's not our enemy. Our mind is not our enemy. They are meant to be tools that we create with. If you think of like this world, this life that you're experiencing is like a canvas, and your job is to paint your life. So the body is like the paintbrush and your mind is like paint, but you still have to choose how it goes up there. So if you're not aware and you're doing something else, paint could be flying all over the place and you're like, what freaking mess was created here? But you weren't there. So instead, we start to take a look at this as like, what could I paint if I chose to? What would be available to me? So you don't need to fix your mind. You just need to be present with it. You need to work with it. It's your job to be intentional with it, as opposed to just letting it run off wherever it wants to go, all willy-nilly. And you need to feel what your system never got to feel. So we let it rise. And you don't need to force forward. You just need to come home. So this isn't about more hustle, more drive. This is about ease. If this resonated, share it with someone that's stuck in the loop. Hit subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me where this landed for you. And if you're ready to meet your patterns with power and presence, feel free to book a Soul Alchemy clarity call and see if this work is right for you. The link is below. And if you want more, you can watch more on our YouTube channel. You can also come and check out the Awakening Circle, our private Facebook community. And you can check out Sovereignty Rising, our podcast. I look forward to seeing you there. Remember, you are not your loop. You are the light, the awareness, the witness that sees it. I see the light in you, and it is freaking brilliant. I'm so excited for you to see it too. See you on the next video.